This episode of Connect is one of the most special we've ever done because it's the Women in Tech panel. And what makes it so special are the 4 women that we had a chance to sit down with. We have Dedra, an HR VP, Keisha, who has also been on a former episode of Connect and is a software engineer. We have Sabrina, who's a manager of engineering, and Marie, a VP and CIO. Sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and check it out.
Tatiana Jordan. Did I get the name right? Jordan?
Titania.
Titania. Okay. All right.
Is Titania Jordan?
Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to this very special episode of Connect. We have the Women in Technology panel. And each one of these women here today have some pretty awesome roles and are very compelling forces in their space. Dedra, you are an HR VP.
Correct.
Keisha, software engineer, also a veteran of the show. Catch our episode if you haven't seen it before. Sabrina, manager of engineering. See, I messed up too, it's fine. Try that again. Sabrina, manager of engineering, and Marie, VP and CIO. So we know what we're talking about when it comes to women and technology, and this is very exciting. Let's start with you, Dedra. Did you know that you would pursue a career in technology?
No, you know, my first job in college was as a help desk kind of person in the computer lab, and everything I've done since then has kind of built off of that. And I always loved technology, and actually my dad's in technology, he's retired now, and I actually got into HR through IT recruiting because I was a database administrator at the time, and this is going a ways back, but I was talking to a recruiter, and he said, have you ever thought about being a recruiter? You know, you understand technology, and you seem to have a personality. You can talk to people. Have you thought about that? And I was like, why not? Let's try it. And I loved it. And then my HR career just grew from there, and I've always been attached to technology type companies, or even when I've had times where that wasn't the main focus of the company, I was always attached to HRIS projects or different things like that, and it's really been a great journey. And it's just the fiber of everything we do today, and I think it really gives me an edge in my industry and being able to understand what's happening in the market and how much it has infiltrated everything we do. When you look at simplifying processes and being agile and being able to really respond quickly to the business needs, it all comes down to how much you can wrap that into your technology. So it's been a great journey, and I've really enjoyed it, and I'm now married to a technology person as well, so I apparently have a thing about it. But but it's been great, and I think it's only going to become more so as we continue in the future.
And Keisha, clearly this is your world now, but has it always been where you've gravitated towards?
Yes, I've been programming since high school.
Nice.
And at the time, I didn't realize it was called programming. I just called it playing with the computer. So I've had a love for technology for a very long time.
I love it. Sabrina, but what about you? What's your background?
So I actually was planning on being an artist. When I first started college, I was an art major. But my dad is an engineer. And so I had played around with a little bit of computer programming when I was a kid too, and it was fun, but didn't really think about having it as a career. And then in college, thinking about your future and what am I going to do with this art major. I could be a teacher, but it wasn't really something that I wanted to do. And my aunt was actually teaching the Intro to Computer Science class at the school that I went to.
Wow.
And so I thought, well, I might as well take her class, she's my aunt. And so I did, and I loved it. After that, I switched my major to computer science and started interning at the same engineering firm that my dad was working at. And then once I got my degree, they hired me on as a software engineer
And isn't it cool how you can actually utilize your artistic ability and talent and where you gravitate towards in technology?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because after I did software engineering, I was gravitating toward the front end and became a user interface engineer, so I could kind of marry the two together, which was awesome.
It's very important. Speaking of user interface, I don't know if y'all use the Postmates app, but I'm an avid user of it, and they just released their new app, and I'm sitting there trying to get my smoothie, and it's not working, and I'm like, y'all messed up a good thing. So I just want to throw that out there. Postmates, I love you, but when I am hangry, like, your UI needs to work for me. So anyway, Marie, let's talk about your background and if you've always known that you were going to be doing this or not.
No, I did not know I would be doing this, and when I went into the workforce, there was not a position called a CIO. When I graduated from college, my degrees were in math, and so I did start teaching for a little while, and then decided that I wanted to try something different. Moved into a large company. Thought I would use my mathematic background as well as my teaching ability. And I ended up in a group that was developing rates and designing rates, and I was using math, but in a very different way. It was applied. And I had the opportunity to grow up in a lot of different areas in a big company. I moved around, learned the business. I was in just about every function that was at the company I worked for, and at the time, I was even a lobbyist.
Wow.
For a period of time, and I thoroughly enjoyed all of it, but at a certain point, there was an opportunity to move from the business side and being an executive in the business side and move into the technology side, and I was given an opportunity to be a CIO. And it was really a perfect match because I understood the business, I had done the business, I had worked with many of the peers that needed IT support, and then I also understood technology. I had a technology bent because of my training and background and just my interest, and so it turned out to be a very nice match. I had no idea I had been preparing for this for part of my career, and then once I got to this level and this opportunity, it was like, wow, this is perfect. I know why we do things. Yep. I know why we need to do things, and I can help translate between my business partners and also my team and help them understand why we need to do certain things, as well as look at the quality, the operational excellence, and keep us current in the technology space. So I love what I do, and it's a great match.
I love that.
For my history.
That's wonderful. I have a feeling a lot of young women will be watching this and thinking, okay, like, all right, so you all work in technology. Does that mean you're just sitting, at a computer and coding all day? And I want to give them a taste of what our lives are like, because we know that there is a major gap in terms of how many men are in this field versus how many women, but I actually think that's a strength. I kind of embrace the fact that there aren't that many of us, and we stand out. We add a very special touch to this industry. And so I'll start, no, I'm not coding. I don't know how to code. I am not chained to a computer. I get to speak to amazing people about how they're changing the world using technology. I get to look at design and interfaces and figure out how to make this better, how to make this easier. It's very easy to make something complicated. It's not easy to make it simple. The more simple it is, the more people that can use it, the better it will be, and the more people it can help. So that my artistic side comes in, I'm able to design, even though I'm not a classically trained graphic designer. I didn't get a degree in computer science. I wish I would have, but I'm able to be on the latest learnings in AI and IoT, and just because the learning is out there, the need is out there. We have a negative 2% unemployment rate in terms of technology in this city, and so the demand for people who love this is out there. So that's just a very small smidgen of what I do. Dedra, for the young women and young men watching out there, tell them about what is your day-to-day like?
So I spend a lot of time, working with different business leaders, a lot of it is talent development, talent management, and really looking for how we're going to fill those jobs that are coming up in the future and trying to do as much workforce planning to get ahead of those kinds of challenges that we're really dealing with. Part of that for a lot of the companies that I've worked for has been really strong internship programs and hiring those new grads when they come out of school. And I'll tell you, one of the things that has surprised me is that I've talked to a lot of women that are going to school, getting computer science degrees, that decide that they want to be a leader. I think it is a natural inclination that we have a lot of times as women, that we want to make an impact and really help drive the direction of things.
And take charge.
And take charge.
Yeah.
And they want to go into management, and they translate that to like project management or something like that. And one of the things that if I were to give one piece of career advice, for whatever it's worth, to young women coming out with computer science degrees, is to get a couple of years experience with the hardcore, engineering or architecture or data type roles before you move into that. You've got to get a foundation in the industry, really get to know what that detail level work looks like and how that translates to the success of the business. And then, move from there, get to know it and see where you really want, because it's hard to go back the other direction. Right. I love what I do. I started out in college as a computer science major and had the exact same thought. I don't want to sit at a computer and program all day. Well, first of all, that's not what you do. That's a huge misconception. And secondly, I spent a lot of times in meetings and at my computer anyway, so it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, technology is there and you're in that. But I think the amount of creativity and impact that you can have in really what I think a lot of people would consider kind of hardcore technical roles is tremendous. Take advantage of that and don't shy away from it, because it is mostly men, just percentage-wise, but we're all very much needed at the table to really keep things rolling and make it successful and see what comes from the next generation of technology.
You made a good point that just brought to mind a memory from Kat Cole. You may know her as the former CEO of Cinnabon, and she would literally be on the front lines of serving people cinnamon rolls just so she could see the problems and benefits of being there, so that she could, get low level and get high level. It's very important to have both the granular view as well as the overarching view to get that comprehensive idea of where to forge. Keisha, let's give everybody watching a taste of what your everyday is like.
Sure. So I am actually a coder. I sit at my computer about 50% of the day, and it is so much fun. I love it. So just imagine playing video games or building video games all day long and someone paying you to do it.
Wow.
So if you love to design, you love to build, you love to create, coding is a good field for you to go in.
See, why weren't you in my life when I was 14, Right. Because in my mind, I was like, oh, this will be boring. But, it sounds awesome. I love to build things.
It is so much fun. And I find that I'm 50% I'm sitting at my computer coding. The other 50% I'm working with our business users. I'm helping define new systems, design new systems, build new systems, test new systems, see ideas come to life. And so it's just a lot of fun. I'm going to be a coder forever.
I love that. That's awesome. Is it overwhelming, to someone like me who's like, maybe I should learn to code? The larger picture in my head is there's just so much to learn, and how do you stay on top of new languages and emerging science? Is it hard to stay current in terms of the latest?
So for me, it's not hard to stay current because I am a learner, and I love learning new things. And so technology changes at such a rapid rate, you really have to work hard to stay current and learn new things. And so I enjoy it. You have to enjoy learning because things are always changing.
Awesome. Well, I definitely enjoy learning. Now I want to learn about Sabrina and what her day-to-day looks like.
So I have a team of engineers, and so I attend their stand-ups. I see what progress they're making, and then also attend the meetings that they have to talk about what is the work that's coming up and how do we plan for that and make sure that we have all of the information that's needed ahead of time before they pull that into their sprint and actually get started on the work. So not as in the weeds as Keisha is. I miss that. When you were talking about that, I'm like, oh yeah, I used to do all of that. and yes, coding is amazing. It's fun. So I do miss that, but I get to influence the direction of the engineering team, and I get to make sure that that we're following standards and best practices and making sure that the quality is high. And I enjoy that too. I enjoy having that level of say and just kind of leading the direction of the teams.
That's wonderful. That's really, really cool. Marie, what's your day-to-day like?
A little bit different. So I am in tons of meetings, and I am working side by side with our business partners. And I'm leading the IT function for the company. So it's very, it takes pieces and parts of all of this for an IT organization to be successful in a business world. And that's why these folks are fabulous. And I need people like Dedra to help me recruit, because we talked about Atlanta is a very tight technology market. It's a big technology market. You can get a job anywhere. And I have lots of people that are, we train them and then they find other opportunities. But a day in my life is really touching base with everyone, also working on strategy, vision, integrating with where the company is going. We're not a technology company that we are selling technology. We are a different kind of business, and that different kind of business requires IT people to get in the field, which is outside the building, and get into business operations and understand how the technology is being used. And I'm a big proponent of IT understanding the business when you're in a situation in a company like I'm in right now, because we need to be able to anticipate what our business users need. We need to be able to, what you were saying, make it easier for them to use technology. Technology is pervasive with everything we do now, and you've alluded to several things that are hot topics.
Yeah.
And it just takes IT people to be current, to keep learning, to not be tied to a particular technology. So I love technologists that are technology agnostic.
Right.
And they can move with the world, with the next thing that's out there. They can learn. But that's what my role is, and my day-to-day is really leading an organization that's going to deliver a lot of opportunity for our business partners. And we are, in my particular role, we are at the same level as the CFO and as the operations vice president, the HR vice president. So it's a really nice place to be in, where IT and technology is considered to be an equal player. And so that takes an organization of stars like what you have here for that to even be successful or be valued at that same level. So it's, I love my job too, and I loved all my jobs as I was coming up, but I think we all get to, you know, where you are, do the best you can, and then there are plenty of opportunities in the technology world for everybody, whether you are coding or with infrastructure or looking at things brand new, artificial intelligence, the IoT, everything is out there. So the possibilities are limitless, and it's just really exciting, and it's a great time to be in technology. I'm
really is.
encouraging people to, with their children, get them in technology if they don't have any idea, because they can go any direction. But it's a fun place to be right now, and I think we all contribute in different ways on a daily basis.
And I'm glad you touched on that, because a lot of times when you hear a woman in technology panel, you think, oh gosh, we're just going to be complaining about the gap and the pay wage gap and the sexual harassment and all those things exist. They're not technology specific. It's kind of everywhere, unfortunately. That's not what today is about. Today is about what you just said. It's about encouraging young women to pursue a career in technology, showing them all the different ways that you can have a career in technology, and just really be honest and authentic about what it looks like to be a career woman. So on that note, how many of you have children? Oh my gosh, all moms, good, great. Well, we can talk about one of my favorite topics, which is work-life balance or lack thereof. I'll start, meaning my mom was a single mom. I don't know how she did it. The second I had a child, she became like just next level to me, right? She was already up there, but I'm like, oh my gosh, you did this without help, And my dad is wonderful, but just, help in the home, And so I couldn't do what I do if I didn't have an amazing husband and support system of family and childcare providers that enable me to have the freedom to be here with you right now instead of, picking him up from school, So support. Obviously, there's that, and then the guilt. When he was a baby, I left my career because it was terrible. I was in this closet, hooked up to a machine, pumping, and no one tells you about that. They don't tell you about that in college. So anyway, I could talk about this for hours. We'll save that for another time. But how do you all balance? How do you balance it? And just jump in.
I'll go.
Great.
So yeah, it is difficult. I'm lucky enough that their dad is a firefighter, so he's 24 hours on, 48 hours off. So
wow.
when he's not working, he's able to pick them up from school. And then I am equally as lucky that my employer lets me go pick them up on the days that he's on shift. So my kids are always picked up by one of us after school, so they don't have to be in an after-school program. If I need to work from home because one of them's sick, I get to do that. I have so much flexibility. It's amazing. And I just yesterday went and helped my daughter. The class was doing a science lab, and they asked if any moms could come in and, well, not moms, they asked if any parents could come in and help. And I said, yeah, I can do it. So I got to go in there for 45 minutes and help out. And just being able to do the little things like that is really important. So I'm just glad that I work for a company that also sees that that's important and allows me to do that. And as a manager, I offer that up to my employees because I know firsthand how important that is.
Absolutely. We have so much work to do in terms of the U.S. maternity leave policy, and I get it. It affects the bottom line, but at the same time, if you really want to be a force for women and a champion for women in the workplace, if they decide to have families, either biologically or not, you've got to make it able for that to happen, I see you nodding your head. Show me some good stuff.
I would tell you it's a very big challenge, and probably one of the biggest challenges I've had throughout my career. I don't think there is a balance, and I think balance is defined by each individual. So there were things that I was willing to do because I wanted to and because it made sense to me. I didn't have all the support outside, but my children were in daycare, and it worked out fine. I had support people to pick them up. I had other things that were going on, and all that was fine. I did go through with the second one, do I have to go back? Do I have to go back? Let me just stay home. Let me stay home. And then I knew once I went back, though, I was going to be in it, 150%. And my mother said to me, as I have two girls, and as they were growing up, she would say to me, Marie, look how independent and wonderful your girls are. And my mother actually worked outside the home before we were born. And so she knew what it was to work. And this was back in the 40s and the 50s when women didn't work. and she had gone out of state. She was, she's my pride, right? I'm proud of her, but it was a real good boost to have your mother say, "You're fine, your girls are fine, they're independent.
Absolutely.
Look what you want for them," and whether they were girls or boys, your children are able to take care of themselves. They didn't miss me. Now, things I did do, which I'll say, is I would be at all the things I could be at. I made myself, even if I left and went and did that at school and I had to come back, I would come back, or I'd work at home at night. I had a daughter who played basketball in college, and I flew to every game her senior year, and I would leave to be there at the game, which I'd leave mid-afternoon, be at the game that night, and then I'd take a red-eye back, and I was always in the office afterwards. But she and I both sit there, and she's grown and working, and we both look at each other and go, how did I do that? So, but yeah, the memory is there, and it's not about my job that I remember, it's about being at those events. So I always encourage my team, and whether they're the fathers or the mothers, you know, you need to be where you need to be. And I made many decisions. I didn't take some jobs. I didn't take some opportunities because I always thought about the impact on my family. And it mattered to me. And at the end of the day, I would tell you, I would never change anything I did. I didn't move as quick as some of my peers, and that was okay, but I'm happy. And what is the memory now is my girls remember, you know, me being the cookie mom for the Girl Scouts, or me being at every basketball game, or me going to the school and judging. It was math superstars, you know, but you had to do that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and so I'm downtown. And so all those things were quite the challenge. But I think the balance, you know, that doesn't sound very balanced, right, because I'm running around all the time. But yet it was for me, and it was for them, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So I think my advice a lot of times in this space to folks is figure out what works for you and find the job that works for you, because they're out there. And if you're in a place that doesn't provide what you and your family need, there's somewhere else.
Absolutely.
And get support and get, you know, talk to people, because networking will help you find things that you don't even believe are out there. And I would encourage people coming into the workforce, whether they're men or women, because now we have both that want the time off. They need to be with their families. We're all taking care of elderly parents.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And so it all works together, but balance is we used to think, I need this much time at work and this much time at home, and I need to do this, and I will tell you, if you get that, I would love to talk to the person that has figured all that out. But I do think there's plenty of opportunity for us, and that you just define it for yourself, but keep your values, keep what you think is right for you and your family. And in the long run, that's who you're going to be with forever, not the company. And so I have lots of friends that have retired, and that's the one thing they all say, you know, I wish I had spent more time, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And it's kind of interesting because they've been 35, 40 years, and you think they are married to a particular company, and yet who do they go home with after that 35 or 40 years? It's the family.
Just hit me right here.
I just encourage everybody to stay true to yourself. It's hard. It's hard. So find people to support you. And to, you know, give you that little oomph when you need it. And it's not easy. It's not easy.
Keisha, what about you?
For me, I have really given up on the notion that things have to be perfect. So I will never be.
Good job. Good job.
I will never be this perfect
Good
employee. I will never be this perfect wife. I will never be this perfect mother. And I am actually okay with that.
Yeah.
Great. I need to spend more time with you.
I'm doing the best that I can with what I have. I have 3 children, and there are times when, because I'm working, I had to work late at the office, I'm not able to come home and cook a 3-course meal. And so tonight, kids, we are having Chick-fil-A, and I'm having a salad. And so the kids actually prefer that answer.
Right?
Like if I said I'm going to cook spaghetti and meatballs, oh, Mom, I don't like spaghetti. And so I just give myself grace and really just, things will never be perfect, and you just have to make the best of what you have. And there are times, like, I don't have time to iron. If you want your t-shirt to be wrinkle-free, put it in the dryer, 5 minutes on high heat, it works wonders. So there are just things I just let go of. I let go.
Good for you.
If I have to leave work at 4:30 to attend my daughter's event, I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just how it works for me.
That's right. Employers and companies need to get up to speed with where we need to be in terms of putting family first and allowing us to be our best selves, which will free us up to be the best employees we can be, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I know for me, I had been established in my career for a while before I had my son, and it was a huge paradigm shift for me. I mean, they don't call it a life event for nothing.
Right.
And I really had to work through the feeling like I was a bad employee because I had to go home to my son, or that I was a bad mom because I did decide to go back to work after 12 weeks, you know, and you just have to give yourself a break and be the best you that you could be, and you've got to prioritize, and sometimes it's moment to moment, day to day, week to week. You do the best that you can, and you're that perfect parent that child needs, and they're going to get different advantages from different situations, and really look at the opportunities and the beauty that is brought into that situation, you know, and the support is imperative, whether it comes from a partner or parents or friends or neighbors or whoever, or all of the above, right? That there are other people that have been out there and found ways to really successfully work through all kinds of different situations, and know that feeling of being in that, what used to be a bathroom trying to pump for, you know, don't even get me started.
Right.
But you know, it's just, I really felt like, you know, when I was working before, that if I had to stay in the office late, my husband can make himself dinner. It's okay. I just let him know I'm going to be home late. But I know I have limited time with my son, and, you know, he's 5 now, and it's unbelievable to me that it's gone by that fast.
Oh my gosh.
I have to remember my husband, because, you know, to your point about the company, at some point my son's going to go off into the world, and my husband's still going to be there, and he makes sure that he still likes me.
Crickets.
But, you know, you have to balance all of that, because we wear so many different labels that we have to give ourselves a break and make sure that we take care of ourselves first, because if we don't, we can't be there for others.
That's right. Oxygen mask analogy, you
Yes.
know, put yours on first. One theme that has been echoing rampant throughout our talk, in my head at least, is just team. Whether you're building up a good team of colleagues that can support you at work, or we're building up a good team as women in tech that can support each other and pour into each other unselfishly with, what do you need, how can I help? And I just really get that sense from you all, and I'm just so thankful that you're here, thankful to be in Atlanta, part of the Atlanta tech scene, because it's a really, really special place. I have a few power questions, I'll say, because we like to put stuff out in social media in both long form and short form. And so when we get to these power questions, whoever thinks they can answer it the best, I think that's who should answer it. And you all can own one. So first question is, what's the best piece of career advice you've ever gotten? So somebody own that one. Who was someone in your life that motivated you to become who you are today? Love to hear about that. What's the worst thing that has happened in your career, and how have you bounced back from that? And then what upcoming trends do you see in technology?
Ooh, I want that one.
Okay. All right. So you're going to own the what upcoming trends you see in technology. Another question, too, if you didn't like any of the others, were if you could go back and tell your 18-year-old self or daughter about living and working in this world, what would you say? So, Keisha, do you want to start with the trends, and then I'll let the three of you think about which one you want to tackle?
Sure. So definitely artificial intelligence, more specifically machine learning.
Mm-hmm.
Machine learning is really, it's the next wave of transformative technology that's going to change society in ways that we can't even begin to imagine yet. So Google recently made the announcement that they are no longer a mobile-first company. They are AI, or artificial intelligence first.
Wow.
And so it's a very exciting time to be in technology, and I'm very excited just about machine learning and what that technology can do. And when I talk to people about it, they are often surprised to learn how that technology is already being used today. And so if you apply for a loan, there could be a machine learning algorithm that says yes or no. Employers use it to see if you'll be a good fit for this job you're trying to apply for. Netflix uses it for recommendations whenever you log on and you see, watch this movie, watch this TV show. There's a machine learning algorithm behind the scenes making that prediction. Judges use it in the courthouse.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that blew my mind when I heard that. Sometimes judges run these machine learning algorithm programs to see if someone will be a repeat offender, and that helps them make the ruling. And so just all of that to say that our reliance on machine learning is just going to continue to grow, and it's definitely the next big thing.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
exciting
you, Keisha.
times.
It really is.
Yeah,
It's really,
exciting.
really exciting. Okay, so we've got some other questions hanging out there. Do any of you feel, okay, great, Sabrina?
I like the one about the person that influenced.
Yes, okay, great. So who was someone in your life that motivated you to become who you are today?
So that would definitely be my dad. I think I alluded to that earlier. So he's an engineer. Actually, right now he's working on the SLS rocket that's going to go
Wow.
to the moon.
Cool.
He's working on the navigation system. It is really cool.
Yeah.
My dad's a rocket scientist.
Oh my gosh!
I love
Wow.
that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So, he's the smartest person I know, and not just in engineering, in all things. Like he builds things, he gives great advice, and I basically followed in his footsteps. I went to the same school that he graduated from, and I got the same degree. He did double major and get physics also, and that was a bit much for me. He did computer science and physics, and I just went with the computer science.
Just.
Yeah. But then I interned at the engineering firm that he worked at, so I was able to see him in action and see him be passionate about his job. And growing up, he was gone a lot. My mom basically raised us because he was working so hard and working so many hours, and he was working on the missile defense system, and it was top secret. We could never visit him at work,
Wow.
and so it was always like, yeah, my dad does engineering stuff, and he's gone a lot, and we don't really know much more than that. But then once I got into school, and he was then working at a place that worked on contracts for the Department of Transportation, it wasn't so top secret anymore, and I was able to see what he does. So this is what you were doing during my childhood, and becoming this amazing engineer. And so I just always looked up to him, and he would help me with my homework, and he's given me career advice all throughout. He did say don't go into management.
Probably good
He said
advice.
I tried it, and then I went back into engineering. So that aspect I didn't really listen. But yeah, I mean, it is completely because of him that I am where I am today.
That's awesome. Can you share his name?
Yeah, Dave Lick.
Dave Lick.
Mm-hmm.
You're awesome. Thank you for being a champion for women in technology. All right, Dedra or Marie?
I'd like the one, the first one.
Yeah. What's the best piece of career advice you've ever received?
The best piece of career advice I've ever received is when you get your yes, quit talking.
That's a good one.
I think that I've carried that with me for a long time. I had a really incredible mentor early on in my career that is largely responsible for where I am today, and that was one of the many lessons that he taught me. So I think that's always a good one to share. And the other thing I'd say that, we've heard all of us talk about that's really important that people sometimes miss in technology is the collaboration that's required. And I liked what you said about being technology agnostic, because really the skills that people need to be really successful are to be collaborative, be able to build strong relationships, and be innovative and curious. The technology is changing so fast, like you said, that nobody's going to be able to keep up with everything. And the days of I'm a master in X is, those are very limited. There's still certainly a place for subject matter experts, throughout technology, but those skills are going to translate to anything that you want to do and are very important as well. So I think that a lot of women think, well, I enjoy being around people and helping people and that kind of thing. There's so much teamwork that comes into play that day to day, you can't get away from it. And I think people think, oh, well, I work with computers, I don't have to really talk to people. This is the farthest thing from the truth, no matter, I think, what you're doing in technology that you can get.
Dedra, that was spot on. That was some really, really good knowledge you just dropped. Marie, I think it's fitting that we close with you. You seem like a closer.
About all my mistakes now.
Or if you could tell your 18-year-old self a piece of advice.
We'll do the mistakes.
Okay, good.
Since
I
there
love
are probably
that.
quite a few, but I guess when I sit back and I look over my career, and I think this is something I do like to share, because women think that that they have to be perfect, and they think that you can't bounce back or you can't recover, and I've seen, back to some of the points you made, you don't in certain companies. There are certain cultures that don't support failure. And I think that that's a challenge today, because if we're going to work faster and we're going to be innovative and creative, we need to be able to try things. We need to be entrepreneurial. We need to be able to get familiar with new technology, and you won't always figure it out the first time. But I had a situation, and all this is true, and I lived through it. So, but it was early in my career, and I had moved into management. And one of the things was I probably thought I was listening, and obviously I wasn't, based on what happened. And part of it was I thought things were, I could do certain things at this level. I had the authority and the responsibility, and I really thought I knew how things worked, and I had a perspective of taking this team to another level. What I failed to do was probably collaborate as much as I should, ask for help as much as I should, listen as much as I should to undercurrents and whatever else was going on, keep the pulse beyond just the 4 or 5 of us that were working together. And this is a difficult thing when you move from an individual contributor into a management role. There's so many things that you were succeeding because you knew you delivered it, right? And then when you had to deliver results through others, there was always a challenge. But we were a very big company, and very, a lot of different folks had impact on your group, or you were supporting a lot of groups. And so this particular time, number one, I didn't know I was in trouble.
Oof.
And I had a friend, a male friend, who called me and said, I need you to come over here, which was in another state, and I want to talk to you. And I said, okay, sure. Got in the car, went over there, and we sat down, and he said, I need to give you a heads up. And he said, are you aware that blah, blah, blah? And basically some folks were not satisfied, and that my team had done certain things. And the point was, I'm the leader of the team,
right.
So it was me and not the individuals on the team. But it was an awakening for me, because I sat there and I said, wow, I had no idea, because I thought the results were very positive, but there was also a political environment that you really need to be sensitive to. And it wasn't that it was wrong, it was just everybody was working on a certain thing, and we did need to work together, and I did need to be more aware and open. And it was really recognizing that even if you are the leader of the team, you need to have the support of your peers, your superiors, and even the external bodies that you weren't directly reporting to. So it was a very, very good lesson, a very difficult lesson, because I did ask the very question. I said, so can I recover?
Right.
And the answer was absolutely. And I just said, really? Really? And it was, but of course I had my doubts. And at the end of the day, it never became a big issue. I listened. I kind of thought differently, and I actually shared some of it with my team because it would take all of us to work together. And we turned out to be, it's kind of a legacy that is in my former company that I left, and the team is still strong and still recognized by everybody. But it was one of those things that I think and this is you're getting into a leadership role, a management role, you think, oh, I'm going to knock the socks off and everything's going to be great, and you just keep moving quickly. And you realize there are different ways to manage, there are different ways to interact. You need to be more collaborative. You need to listen and not talk so much like you were talking about. If you get the yes, move on.
Yeah.
But I think we tend to want to be perfect, and so you think you are, but a lot of times you don't realize at the expense of what.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of that is things don't change overnight, things don't happen overnight. A lot of us that are type A's or drivers, you want to do things quick and fast, and you realize you may be leaving people behind. And it's not that your intent is wrong, it's just you have good intent. You just need to really think. Everybody can't keep up with you as quickly as you are moving. So just think through how to do it, and also reach out to others and be sure you're leveraging people to help you and you're helping people. I've never seen anybody successful alone. And I think it takes, when you're in big companies or environments, you need to have a network, whether they're peers, whether they're subordinates, whether they're your CEOs, that you have a support around you. And then you need the folks that are willing to give you that feedback, because they're not taking you down, they're helping you. Listen. And I think a lot of times we don't.
It's all coming back to team and humility and assertiveness and grace. It all plays together. I want to take a minute to thank 3CI. You see them on our mugs, because they're an amazing sponsor of the show, and they are above the industry average of hiring women. So just shout out to 3CI. Thank you for having us and for what you're doing for women in technology. Dedra, Keisha, Sabrina, Marie, thank you all so much for being here, for your time, for sharing with us. And if you all watching want to leave comments below on YouTube, we'll be sure to engage and answer whatever questions you have and help you in your pursuit of a career in technology and supporting women. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.